Think Realty Nation, it's your host, Abhi Golhar. Welcome to the Think Realty podcast. We have a really good one for you today. If you are an investor, you are thinking about flipping real estate or buying and holding real estate, there are a couple of things you need to know. Number one, the entire history of speculation. You know, as real estate investors, we are speculators. We need to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And my guest today is Ivan from Equity and Help, and his company is geared toward that, helping you, the real estate investor, make better decisions with investing in real estate. So I'll bring him on in just a second, but that's what the conversation today is going to be about. And this concept of philanthropy investing. What does it mean to invest and also potentially be a philanthropist? And I'm really excited to have that conversation because as an investor, as somebody that is constantly involved in that world, I want to make sure we're also giving back to our communities and how can we actually do that effectively and properly. So we'll talk about that today. We'll also, after Ivan's interview, we'll talk about what are some of the crucial mistakes that investors make when flipping homes. So that's what's coming up on the podcast for today. Before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to today's podcast sponsor, and that's Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors. This podcast is brought to you by Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors, a nationally recognized individual and company for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax and business strategy advice to real estate investors. Go to getbulletprooftoday.com and receive Clint's book, Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors, for free while supplies last. Ivan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited also to be with you here.
Hey, same here. So give us a little background on who you are and what you do before we start digging into some of these really important topics.
Okay, so my friend, my name is Ivan Anz, and I am the founder of Equity and Help and the creator of the philanthropy investor phenomena. And this whole concept of people not only growing their capital, but also at the same time doing good for the humanity. So as you said very, very well a few minutes ago, this word philanthropy investor, it was coined by me a few years ago with the whole idea that you can actually do philanthropy and it's just going for helping the humanity. And you also, when you're doing only philanthropy, which is actually just giving your resources, your time, your money, just expecting nothing in return. But on the other side, you have the investor, that is someone that using his time and money or resources to get the financial return. So when you combine both of them, what you have is someone who is using his time and his money and engaging emotionally to improve human welfare.
That's awesome. And so when it comes to philanthropy and when it comes to investing, from what I'm understanding and from what I'm hearing, they don't have to be two separate things, right? We can do both at the same time. And I think that's really, really cool. So I do want to dig into that. But first of all, we have this entire world of speculation with real estate investors. Everybody's speculating, right? The idea is if I'm going to buy low and sell high, I'm going to speculate that the value of my home is going to be $100,000 more after I renovate it. But there's something more to speculation that I really appreciate, even in your marketing and what you talk about, in that we have to pay very close attention to it. If we over-speculate and if we do it incorrectly, that can really drive down our overall yield. Can you tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on speculation?
100%. So let me tell you a story that I will give you for that. In like around 2008, 2009, I owned Toyota dealerships also. So I was already a millionaire and I was looking to do exactly what actually what I was looking to do what I will do with my money, because I had a CEO, I hired my CEO and I trained my CEO and I established a CEO in the company. Then the entrepreneur jobs, it becomes okay, the CEO and continue creating the company and the future of the company and all of that. But at the same time is what you do with all your money that you actually created. So I have all this money and I said, okay, what I will do now with these savings? And I got involved into the speculative investment world. And I had a pretty great life, like, with my wife and my parents and my family. Everything was really nice and amazing and normal. So all of a sudden, I get involved into this speculation industry, and I start investing in different industries like, digital currency and foreign exchange and the stock market and all of that. And I just went myself, and I realized, wait a minute, I am not an investor here. I bought another job. I am a speculator behind the computer, buying, selling. It's another job. So now, really, I need to actually speculate, meaning that I need to be better to predict the future than everybody else. And I need to just guess the future. What's the difference on this and going into the casino and I'm guessing the movements of other people,
That's so true. That's so true, and that's what a lot of investors do today, right? They every day they'll make decisions, but they might as well go to Vegas and bet all on black because they're not paying attention enough to the details and the due diligence and the homework to make an informed decision.
Exactly. It's not only that, my friend. It's that there is the whole world that is coming to sell us that one nice car with nice, like nice drive and nice comfortable, and that would nice, and one nice home is not sufficient, and that we need to have the things faster than with enjoyment. So basically, something that is coming in our world, in the advertising world that I observe is, you need to have the truck and the sport car and the van, and why the home, this size of home is not sufficient. So you need to have the biggest home, and after that home, you need to have the biggest home. So that right. World, and then the plane, and then the jet, right. And then another plane, and then another car, and so the industry is built like that. So because the industry is built like that, it goes to the direction of, how I make it to have the most amount of this money the fastest possible, and it's just a race. So that is what actually takes us to speculate and to want the things like just right now, instead of having them with enjoyment, happiness, and quality.
What's the importance of help? The name of your company is Equity and Help. We talked a little bit about equity, due diligence. Let's talk about the importance of help.
It's actually a very important word. If we talk about what is the definition of help, and let's just think for a moment. What is the definition of the word help? If we just go into the dictionary, and in the dictionary, we will find that it's so simple as assisting others. Help is to assist. So now that we actually start thinking about it, think for a moment. When was the last time that someone gave you help? From actually, taking like someone you needed, I don't know, anything, a small assistance. It can be from the level of someone that gave you a cup of tea or a cup of coffee that you were asking for, and you was not able to reach it yourself, and you asked for, a friend to pass that to you, and he assists you on that, up to the level of a president of the country that is living his entire life to use his mind, his soul, what he is, him as a being, and everything that he has in order to actually help 40 million people that live in that country. When was the last time that you actually felt that you actually received help? And how you actually felt? Because let me tell you something, help, in order to actually, for you to get it, two things need to happen. One, you need to be willing to receive it.
Yeah, that's so true. Yeah.
You see? And two, you need to be able to actually say, felt that you actually enjoy that.
That's right.
And actually give back. for that help that you actually receive.
That's right. And so the purpose of Equity and Help is to provide both things then for investors, their families, and then the community. Help me understand a little more about what you do at Equity and Help, and then how real estate investors can benefit by working with you guys.
Yes, let me finish and circle back on the help point, because for me to finish is that it's not only that you need to be willing to receive, but also needs to be willing to give that help. And if you think about it, when was the last time that you helped someone? And when you helped that someone, what was the fulfilling? What was the feeling that you got? And when did you feel better? When you help someone or when you receive help? I am pretty sure that you felt better when you actually help someone.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You see? And the key point here is that imagine that the things that are in the how the planet will be if we are willing to receive help and to give help to others. You see? So it's just something very important. And when you actually, now we're going to your next question.
Yeah.
It's people that in the past, they tried to help someone, but they didn't manage to do, but they tried and they wanted to do it.
That's right.
And because they failed to do so, they feel that they should not continue helping.
Yeah.
But that's not true, because you fail helping someone, that doesn't mean that the next person that you try to help, you will fail again.
Right.
So, and this philanthropy investor concept, when you combine philanthropy that is trying to help someone, but let's say you are not yet in that position to give all your money away or all your time away. But what about if you can actually do something that combines both, when you can actually do philanthropy and at the same time invest? And the combination of these words actually take you to invest with a purpose, while something that is very important, getting clear investments and clear results, which is backing you up to be a real estate philanthropy investor, to grow your capital, create equity while you are helping others, while you are helping families be stable and own their own homes.
Awesome. That's awesome. And I think the more that we as real estate investors reframe the conversation, instead of making it about me, and more of me, and saying, how can we actually get out of our own way to help others that are in need, I think will really transform the way that we think about real estate investing. So, Ivan, thanks so much. I appreciate the insights and everything. If I wanted to learn more about Equity and Help and start working with you guys, what's the best way to get in touch? Whether it's a website, whether it's on social, how do you recommend we contact you?
I actually recommend for you to go into equityandhelp.com.
Okay.
If this is something that actually interests you, watching the short videos there. We have 3 levels of investors. We have investors that are, which is the level 1 from 130,000 to $1 million. We have the level 2, which is 1 million to 5 million. And we have the level 3, which is 5 million and above. When they have 1 million and above in investing, they have special attention from the CEO of the company, and who is an amazing friend of mine. He actually has an MBA from the Phoenix, Arizona University, Mr. Jamie Gomez, and he actually is speaking English and Spanish. He's an amazing person, and so he takes care of you. And beyond 5 million is another level. So you actually qualify yourself, basically what level you have, and then schedule a call with the director of philanthropy investors. The website in the bottom right allows you to actually schedule a call with Mr.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Ivan, thank you so much for the time. We'll definitely go to www.equityandhelp.com to learn more. Thank you so much again for your insights.
Yes, you're welcome, sir.
You got it. This next segment is brought to you by Marco Santorelli, my really good friend, Marco Santorelli, who is with Turnkey Real Estate Investments and Nevada Real Estate Investments. So you want to check him out. What's interesting about Marco is he has also this next level data on his website, so you can get all the best of the best information over there. So officially, this segment is brought to you by Nevada Real Estate Investments, your premier source for cash flow investment property. Visit www.turnkeyrealestateeinvestments.com. So what are some of the crucial mistakes that most investors make when flipping real estate? Now, I made a lot of mistakes, and I still keep making mistakes primarily because I'm not the guy that's actually going to go do the work. But you know what? What are some mistakes that real estate investors make? Well, number one, pushing a project through past its initial scope. If your scope for being doing a 1-year project and now it's taken a year and a half, you've got an investor carry, you've got carrying costs, you have extra costs that you're now taking on that are cutting into the overall profitability of the project. Massive issue. Number two, not knowing your own limits. If you decide to take on 5 or 10 or 15 projects, but you're one guy or one gal, or maybe you're a team of 2 or 3, and you've really taken on too much, that's another issue. So understanding yourself as an investor is super crucial to your long-term success and not pushing yourself past your limits unless you have a bigger team that can handle that for you. Number 3, and the last one I want to talk about, is hiring the wrong person for the job. If you hire the wrong plumber or the wrong HVAC person or the wrong roofer, guess what happens? You're going to have to redo that work. It's going to cost you more, and then that leads into you're pushing your project past its initial scope. And then you just start getting hammered with all the wrong things, and you don't want that. So as a real estate investor, there are a lot of things that could go wrong. And initially, if you can plug some of those holes, then I highly recommend that you do so. If you want to get in touch, you know how to do it. Go to thinkrealty.com. And I'm here for you anywhere online at Abhi Golhar. But listen, at the end of the day, your journey of real estate investing is your own. Own your mistakes, own your successes, and you will ultimately see and be the success that you want to be. Think Realty Nation, that's a wrap for today. This podcast is sponsored by Clint Coons of Anderson Business Advisors, nationally recognized for providing bulletproof asset protection, tax, and business strategy advice to real estate investors around the country. Go to www.getbulletprooftoday.com and receive Clint's book, Asset Protection for Real Estate Investors, for free while supplies last. And that's a wrap. Until next time, happy investing.